is this week. That was week 13 in college football. That is SEC Cupcake Week. Yeah, baby. Yes, everybody gets it. Well, not everybody got a cupcake because Ole Miss got a cupcake in the Citadel a week ago. Well, 2 weeks ago. Tennessee got New Mexico State last week. And this week, Texas A&M, after a scare against South Carolina, you get good old Stanford. Georgia. Oh man, I know that Kirby Smart was trying to find a way to make the Charlotte game scary, even though that they were 1-9. But yeah, they took care of business. Alabama, so what? They lost last week. Oh man, they pulled out. Oh, great win versus Eastern Illinois. Auburn. Oh, they had a tough one on their hands. They had 9-1 Mercer. Congratulations. But we did get a Deuce Knight sighting, so there's some thankfulness there. South Carolina and Coastal Carolina. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. South Carolina can actually score points. And then you had LSU. Lord have mercy, in a meat grinder in an absolute rock fight with Western Kentucky. Now, I know that fans of the SEC are going to be a little bit upset about this little funny joke here, but here, up here on the screen, if you're listening on YouTube, or I'm sorry, if you're listening on the podcast or anything like that, I have up the AP poll rankings and the current college football playoff rankings. Now, the only thing that changed from the AP poll last week to this week is they actually bumped Oregon up from number 6 to number 7. I'm sorry, to number 5. And in the college football playoff rankings, Oregon is number 7. And I actually believe that they're going to bump them up in front of Ole Miss, because Ole Miss did not play this last week. Last time we saw them, they were playing against the Citadel. And then you got the Lane Kiffin rumors as well. So that's one thing that I want you guys to watch before the rankings come out on Tuesday, because for all of the people yelling, oh, who have you played? Who is this? All this, no sound. Oh my gosh. Hold on. Jesus Christ. Oh, there we go. Yeah, baby, we got it going. All right. So let's start again. Here's what I'm gonna do. Because we ended up in such chaos to start the show, we're going to start over because clearly I blew it. All right. Welcome to the college football show, people. Ladies and gentlemen, we had week 13 in college football, and the way that college football is set up, the way that the last week has gone, chalk for the most part. We are going to get absolute chaos in week 14, and we have huge games in week 14. So the chaos is going to ensue. The Iron Bowl could never have more significance. Hell, even the Egg Bowl on Friday. Hey, super live. Hey, thank you for the donate the in the chat. I appreciate it. So we have Ole Miss versus Mississippi State. With all the Lane Kiffin drama, that could go left. We got Georgia and Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech just lost again. But now Georgia playing Georgia Tech at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. If Georgia Tech wins that game, now all of a sudden you're like, how the hell do you leave them out of the college football playoff, even if they don't go to the ACC championship? Which is the exact same conversation that we would be having about Texas A&M and Texas if Texas beats Texas A&M. Think about that. We have Indiana ain't getting beat by Purdue. We got Oregon, Washington. That is an insane game because it's on Mont Lake. If it were in Eugene, wouldn't even be worried about it, not even a little bit. We got UCLA, USC. That could go left. Ohio State, Michigan. Another game that's absolutely insane. Um, Texas Tech, West Virginia, because it is in Morgantown, that could go crazy. And the one that you have to circle and watch more than anything else probably is Miami and Pitt. That's the one, because all of the Miami people who are complaining about getting left out of the college football playoff and not being respected, being behind Notre Dame, you got to take care of your own business first. So, do we believe with all the confidence that is in us that Miami is going to clear Pitt? Tell you right now, I am not 100% confident in that. And you guys, make sure that you guys like, subscribe, get notifications, tell a friend about the show. And yeah, and we had to start over today because we had some technical difficulties, but that's fine. I do not believe that there's an LSU Oklahoma upset coming, but it could be, and I want you to pay attention to that because styles make fights, right? Oklahoma's offense has not been performing at a high level at all, like not even a little bit. LSU's defense is competent. If LSU can get anything going on offense, this feels like an Iowa football game waiting to happen. And Oklahoma has been grinding out those wins, but I believe LSU won't be a competition for Oklahoma, but that's a game that could get tricky. The Vanderbilt, Tennessee, but I'm looking at that Iron Bowl, people. That Iron Bowl between Alabama and Auburn. Deuce Knight is starting at quarterback for Auburn. He went crazy this last week, albeit a cupcake game. But it was incredible. It is incredible because Alabama can't be feeling good after they just lost. And now Auburn is coming in trying to just like there would have nothing more than to go to a bowl game and kill Alabama's playoff hopes. And remember, I'm the person that said Alabama would miss the college football playoff this season. Just saying. So we got all sorts of games that could turn the college football playoff rankings on its head. And truthfully, since there has been so much talk about expanding the playoffs, so much talk about what we're gonna do if Notre Dame and Miami, what are we gonna do there? What happens if Texas beats Texas A&M? All of those things, right? Well, then now you add in Auburn beats Alabama. Do you put Alabama in front of Texas? Do you put Texas in front of Alabama? What happens if Mississippi State beats Ole Miss on Friday? While all of that Texas A&M Texas talk is so, what if Georgia Tech wins? What are we talking about here? And college football, it never lets us down. And you guys can hop in the chat and tell me, when is the last time that we did not, when it came down the stretch, in the last 3 weeks of the college football season, have massive upsets? At least 3 or 4 in one day. When is the last time that didn't happen? Doesn't always happen the last week. Sometimes it happens the week before. Sometimes it happens 3 weeks prior. But it is going to happen, and we have not had it happen yet. And therefore, it is coming. And everybody better be on the lookout. Oregon better be on the lookout with Washington. Hell, Utah damn near stepped in a metal trap this weekend too. So who is your biggest, like, which team do you think is under the biggest threat to get upset this weekend? And for me, it is Mississippi State upsetting Ole Miss, and it is Texas A&M. Actually, I would go with Georgia Tech, Georgia, and Washington, Oregon. Those are my biggest upset potentials in there. All right, so next thing up, the college football coaching carousel is going insane. and it is still going insane. And this last week, we had two things happen. We had James Franklin get hired by Virginia Tech, which we will talk about, and we had Cal fire Justin Wilcox. So somebody's going to have a really good defensive coordinator if he chooses to keep coaching, because he's not that old. I'm 44. He was a senior when I was a freshman, so he's probably in the neighborhood of 47, 48. So he's still a pretty young dude in terms of coaching, even though he's been a head coach for a very long time. But right now, as of the recording of this video, we still have Arkansas open, Penn State open, UCLA, Florida, Florida State, Auburn, Oklahoma State, UAB, Stanford, Colorado State, and Oregon State are all open jobs right now. And then there are possible openings potentially at South Carolina. If South Carolina loses to Clemson, Shane Beamer could absolutely be out. And then you could have Michigan State and Jonathan Smith part ways, which that's definitely within the realm of possibility as well. Now, we found out, too, that Baylor, Wisconsin, FSU, and Maryland are retaining Mike Locksley, Mike Norvell, Luke Fickell, and Dave Aranda. The only one of these that I want to discuss out of those that I want to discuss is Florida State keeping Mike Norvell. I do not believe that Florida State keeps Mike Norvell if his buyout is not $58 million. If his buyout is, if his buyout is a reasonable amount, even if it's $25 million, he would have been gone. And the reason why is because I tell everybody, when it's time to fire a coach, there are two questions that you need to ask yourself. Number one, first question that you need to ask yourself is there a coach that I can guaranteed get that will do a better job than the one that I have right now? Like, guaranteed. And if you're Florida State, the answer to that has to be yes. Like, it would be hard to be worse than what you have been. Yes, you won. You went 13 and 0 in the regular season in 2023, and then in 2022 you went 10 and 3. But before that, so Mike Norvell's record there, 3 and 6. He inherited a team from Willie Taggart. Then he goes 5 and 7. So you're like, okay, we're moving in the right direction. Then comes that 10 wins and then 13, and then last year you fall off an absolute cliff and go 2 and 10. And then this year, you're 5 and 6 at this point in time. I want to focus on that 2 and 10 season because I want you to look at Florida State's 2 and 10 season and compare it to what's going on at Clemson this year. Clemson is now sitting at 6 and 5. They started out the season 1 and 4. Dabo Swinney has found a way to keep his quarterback, Cade Klubnik, to keep TJ Parker and TJ Parker and Williams and Avion Terrell and all of these dudes who are going to be NFL draft picks engaged, playing hard. And yes, stuff is broken with their offensive line. It is broken in many, many areas, right? But when you watch Clemson play, them kids are still playing hard. Dabo has got his team playing hard. They're nowhere near as good as they should be. And I believe a lot of it has to do with their offensive coordinator. But his team is playing hard. If you're Mike Norvell, you go 2 and 10, and you have coaches after games talking about, man, this team's soft. This team's soft. And then you get physical against Alabama, but you can't maintain any level of good play. So, is there a coach that can guarantee do a better job at Florida State? The last 2 years, it would be hard not to say that, yes, you can find a better coach. But the second most important question that you need to ask yourself, is there a loss of hope? Can you still go into the homes of 17 to 22-year-olds, in the transfer portal, high school to the transfer portal, and sell them on the fact that the future is brighter than the past? Can you sell them on that? I do believe that there is some level of a loss of hope at Florida State. So what could he possibly change that would get better next year? I don't have the answer to that, and but he needs to have an answer. All right. So the question is, who gets the well? Actually, so they gave Mike Norvell a contract extension, and this is something that needs to be addressed. And you guys know, on this channel, I have been out talking to so many college football coaches, and we will be back on the road in the off season. And so this won't make me popular amongst them, but this is not the popularity contest. I'm here for you guys. The truth is, so many of these coaches get contract extensions when they have no business getting contract extensions. That's the truth. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but when Mike Norvell, and if I were an athletic director, here's how I would handle this. Mike Norvell's making like $8 million at Florida State. Alabama comes open, and Jimmy Sexton gets him a new deal because he's going to go to Alabama. Well, here is the thing. If I were Florida State's athletic director, the conversation that I would have had with Mike Norvell is this. Mike, you are a top, at that point in time, because a lot of people hadn't gotten extensions, you're a top 12 paid head coach in college football. If you want to go to Alabama because over $2 million, you should go to Alabama. You should. I know that we just had a 13-0 season, but we're not being held hostage here. I want people who want to be here. I don't want hostages. We will NIL you. We will resource you. We will do all of these things. You keep doing what you're doing. You ain't going to have no problem with money or a contract extension. But what we're not doing is prematurely re-upping what you're doing because of the threat of leaving. Nope. It's different if you have a coach and he's making $4.5 million. Like if you're Brent Key over there at Georgia Tech, you're making $4.5 million, and then somebody else is going to offer you 9 or 10. And we're saying, oh, hey, if you want to leave. No, we're going to be like, hey, brother, let's tighten you up around here. The way you feel comfortable, we feel comfortable. We're going to put our buyout number high, and everybody's happy. But instead, that is not what universities do. They keep falling into this trap of their coaches, and this makes no sense. And that is exactly what has happened over there at Nebraska. Because Nebraska gave Matt Rhule a new contract to keep him away from Penn State. I would have said, yo, if you want to go to Penn State, be my guest. Go on. Go ahead, Matt. Go ahead. Because here is the issue. And I want you guys to see it for yourself. The way and I know that y'all know I ain't going to lie to you. But I want you to see it for yourself. Let me screen share. All right. So, okay. So here are the 2026 recruiting rankings in college football. All right. Let's see where we're at. Let's see when we get down to Nebraska. Because, damn, we're all the way down to 50? No, Nebraska. We got Kansas. We got Mississippi State. We got Wake Forest. We got Vandy. Where are you at, Nebraska? Because recruiting in college football is the lifeblood. We got Boise State, South Florida, Appalachian State. Wait, hold up. I must have missed it. Well, I must have missed Nebraska. No, I didn't. Maryland, UNLV, Colorado State, Temple, Sacramento State. What are we? South Alabama. What are we doing? Troy. Penn State's down here because they lost their head coach. They'll fly up these rankings as soon as their head coach is announced. Virginia's a little concerned in there, but we're Miami of Ohio, Georgia State, Buffalo. Wait, hasn't Matt Rhule been there for a couple years? Like, this is weird. Huh. Okay. Well, there is Nebraska sitting at number 1 freaking 100. How are you supposed to revive Nebraska when you have 9 commits? Signing day is in 10 days. In 10 days. You got 9 commits, 2 4-stars, and 7 3-stars. Nothing about what Matt Rhule is doing says that you are going to be able to revive Nebraska. You cannot survive by the transfer portal alone. Number 97 shows you exactly why, and that is Colorado. Everybody knows I'm Team Deion. I support him. I love what he does with the kids. I believe he's building young men. All of those things. But Deion Sanders has a blind spot as well, not recruiting high school football at a high level. And he will give you the cockamamie excuse about, oh, well, if I go to one school, because he won't get on the road. He's dynamic. He's charismatic. If he goes in them kids' homes, he's going to close a lot of them. And he says, well, only about 5 or 6 freshmen play every year, so those are the ones that we want. No, you have to build your pipeline specifically on the offensive and the defensive lines. You cannot transfer portal that year in and year out. It is a fool's errand. You are going to lose football games. And I've been trying to say that about Deion Sanders and now about Matt Rhule at Nebraska. So why, and I know that people will tell you, oh, it's the NIL resources, this and that. You can miss me with that because at no point in time, should Nebraska be number 100 10 days before signing day. And you just gave the coach an extension? How is he supposed to succeed? Ain't that much great coaching in the world. They just got their doors knocked off this last weekend. And we supposed to, man, come on. Man, nothing good is coming out of Nebraska anytime soon, and you can book it. I'm telling you. All right, the next thing that we got to talk about is James Franklin. And the reason why this matters is this. James Franklin is now the head coach at Virginia Tech. If I told you 3 months ago on August 23rd that James Franklin, who people believed that Penn State was going to be the number 1 team in the nation, that they were going to win a national championship, that this was the year to win the Big Ten. If I had told you then on August 23rd that James Franklin would not be that on, if I told you on August 23rd that on November 23rd that there would still be 1 week left to play in the season and James Franklin would have already been introduced as the new head coach of Virginia Tech, what would you have said to me? You would have said, George, you are an idiot. You should not be covering college football. You need to have your head examined for some CTE or something. That's what y'all would have said to me. But this is the new reality of college football that we live in. This is craziness. But I will say, this is a great hire for Virginia Tech. And the reason why this is a great hire for Virginia Tech is because Virginia Tech has a new floor. They have a new floor for their program. And the floor has been raised because Virginia Tech has not won more than 8 games since 2011. That's only once since in between now and 2011 have they won more than 8 games. Only once. And they won 8 games in 2019. That's the last time. Come on, man. This is craziness. And Virginia Tech with Beamer ball, they played in the national championship. So their new floor is going to be an 8 to 9 win team every single year. And Blacksburg is a place that has good college football around it in the state of Virginia. You can recruit North Carolina, which has good kids. The DMV area has good players as well. And the one thing that James Franklin has to do is to stop being so safe and conservative. No risk it, no biscuit, man. You have already gotten fired. You cannot sit there and play conservative football anymore. Virginia Tech fans are gonna love it if you go for it on 4th down more. If you punt less, if you are just aggressive as hell. James Franklin, that needs to be your thing. Next thing up, Justin Wilcox got fired. My former teammate at the University of Oregon got fired from Cal. Now, Justin Wilcox is a brilliant defensive mind. Yes, he had a tough go at it at Cal. It seemed like he had things going in the right direction. Yes, it is difficult to get kids into Berkeley. But if you got Marshawn Lynch and Deshaun Jackson and some of them other kids in there, that you can get about 5-6 kids that you can kind of flow through the edges every now and then. Notre Dame does it. Stanford does it. Everybody, like, you ain't gonna lower the standards a lot, but you're gonna, like, if they're in that gray area and they're that good at football, you can get them in. Justin Wilcox, he got a bad break with COVID and truthfully in 2021 too, after their best season in 2019. But the issue is that since then, he has not won enough or recruited at a high enough level to be able to keep his job. So if he chooses to coach again, it is probably going to be immediately. He'll either get a G5 job or he'll be a defensive coordinator. It would be smart, like if Tosh Lupoi gets a job over there at if Tosh Lupoi, if he gets a job at Oregon's defensive coordinator, if he gets a job, that'll be interesting. And then maybe Josh goes back to Oregon to be a defensive coordinator because you're going to win a lot of football games, which is going to put you in position to be a head coach again. Just saying. Yeah. And Cal actually lost to Stanford, who's with their interim coach, Frank Wright. This was just too much for Cal people to stand. If you can't keep the axe against Stanford, who's awful right now, it's time to go. So, sorry, Justin. You will land on your feet if you choose to. All right. So now let's get to this Lane Kiffin talk for a second because I haven't addressed it as much as other people have. So I will address it here. And you guys make sure that you like, subscribe, get notifications, tell a friend about the show. So Lane Kiffin is still vacillating about where he's going to coach next. Will it be Florida? Will it be LSU? Will it be Ole Miss? Or maybe it's one of these like, Lincoln Riley, where he was at Oklahoma, rumored to go to LSU, and it wasn't. He was going to USC. He got backdoored there. Nobody knew. But let's assume that it is Florida, and it is LSU, and it is Ole Miss. A leak came out this weekend about that that LSU was offering over $90 million guaranteed, $25 million in NIL money for Lincoln Riley and his roster and all of that stuff. Who leaked that? Because that's the part I want you to pay attention to. Either Jimmy Sexton, his agent, leaked it to keep negotiating with other people in secret, or you have LSU leaking that information. because the reason why LSU would leak that information is because they want to poison the Ole Miss well. Because Ole Miss fans are getting frustrated with Lane Kiffin. Very frustrated. And so much so that their athletic director had to put out the statement saying that there would be a statement. He made a statement to make a statement about Lane Kiffin that the Saturday after the Egg Bowl, which is this upcoming Friday, that that a statement would be made on his future. So you're like, if he's getting a new contract extension, why the hell do you need to wait to put out a statement? So the natural inclination to believe is that he's out of there. I don't believe that. From everybody that I've talked to, Lane Kiffin is still undecided, doesn't know what he wants to do. Now, if you believe what the Bible says to you, and a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. And Lane Kiffin right now is being double-minded. He is putting everything that he's built at Ole Miss in danger. He's putting his family in danger. He's putting everybody in danger by not making a swift decision. So much so that I started to believe, I was like, hold up. Is Lane Kiffin actually trying to force Ole Miss to break up with him? Think about this. How many times have you seen somebody who's been in a relationship, they want to get out of a relationship, and instead of saying, hey, baby, I don't want to do this no more. Man, I don't want to do this no more. They just start pulling away, doing stuff that they know is going to upset the person and getting that person to break up with them so they don't have to be the bad guy. I'm wondering if Lane Kiffin is doing that. If he's trying not to be the bad guy for Ole Miss. So somebody leaked this information. It's either Jimmy Sexton to negotiate, get other people up and all of this stuff, or it is LSU, because the statement came out about LSU first, that they want to poison how Ole Miss fans feel about him. Now, Lane Kiffin is doing himself no service, and he's doing Ole Miss no service. Think about this. He's already gotten fired on the tarmac at USC. He bolted Texas for USC in the middle of the night. He's gotten fired by the Raiders and then had a legal battle with about money with with Al Davis. He's been at FAU, lost his face, all of this stuff. He's rehabbed his image, everything else. And now he's in the same situation, and it's difficult for him. That would honestly scare me. And and here's the biggest part. LSU, Florida, they are willing to pay a king's ransom to a coach who has only won one conference championship, and it's when he was at FAU. Hasn't even sniffed the SEC championship. Didn't sniff the Pac-12 championship. What are we doing? It's not that Lane Kiffin's not a good coach, but it reeks of desperation. Reeks of desperation. And when this feels like LSU and Florida are going to the grocery store hungry. What happens when you go to the grocery store hungry? You come back with all type of stuff you didn't even need. Stuff you ain't even gonna eat. You're like, ooh, that truffle Alfredo sauce seems amazing. I'll make this with this. You know when you're deep down in your heart, you are not going home to go make it. And that's exactly what's happening right now. But if you're Ole Miss, you want him. Like, you want your head coach. That's what you want. So, I'm just saying. This is a and okay. So wife has texted me a couple times. You know how that go. All right. So what would you do if you were Ole Miss? Are you keeping Lane Kiffin or are you pushing him out the door? because this feels like a little bit too much now at this point in time. All right, let's get to the games this week. Oh, wait, actually, hold up. Before we get to the games this week, it is being reported that Arkansas is close to hiring their head coach. And then I'm thinking, who would their head coach be? And if they're announcing their head coach now, it is somebody who is not currently employed. So you could be looking at like Pat Fitzgerald. You could be looking at Jimbo Fisher. I'm not sure why you would do that. So those are the names that could be coming out right now because I mean unless Arkansas wants to get a little bit ahead of the National Signing Day and try to get a bigger class or something like that. That's the only other thing if you are hiring so I believe that if Arkansas is announcing their new head coach in the next 48 hours, like is being reported, it's going to get tricky. Well, those are the candidates that you're probably sitting there looking at. UCLA is trying to hire Chesney from James Madison. I know this for a fact. And also there are rumors that he's talking to Penn State as well. So now this becomes a question if he has offers from both of these teams. It is about geographic desirability and what you believe that you can do with this roster and how patient these schools are going to be. Because Chesney has done a really good job over there at James Madison. They even may make the college football playoff. So it's going to get real tricky around there. And then there's Auburn. That feels like it's John Summerall and he may be waiting. Obviously, he's Tulane's head coach. He's either going to Auburn or LSU. I think that he is LSU's backup plan. And that's actually perfect. He should have been the front plan. You can pay John Summerall $8 million instead of paying him $13 million over a 5-year deal. You can give him a 5-year, $40 million deal instead of a $90 million deal, almost a $100 million deal for a coach that ain't never won nothing. That seems like the more prudent decision for LSU. But that's who I believe ends up at Auburn. But if not, they got to go back to the drawing board. Oklahoma State still hadn't hired a head coach. I believe if I were hiring for Oklahoma State, I would take Oregon's offensive coordinator, Will Stein, and put him right there. Or I would hit up Eric Morris out of North Texas. And if I get North Texas, I might get a quarterback too with Mestamaker to come along with them. That's what I would do. UAB, we won't even talk about that. Stanford and Cal, they're going to have plenty of people that want those jobs as long as they're willing to resource the programs. Like, that is the biggest thing. Stanford has all the money in the world. The question is, do they want to be good at football? Do they want to let kids in grad school? Do they want to let them redshirt and stick around for an extra year and not graduate yet? Those are the things that the academics that they have to be willing to make concessions and then have kids living in appropriate housing and all sorts of stuff that Stanford doesn't do. And you guys hop in the chat. I will get to you. Colorado State. That's a job you could see like UC Davis's Tim Plow at. I think he would do great there. And then you got Oregon State. They're going to be up against this because of their conference situation, but it's going to be much more stable with Utah State and Fresno State and every other state going out to the Pac-12 because the Pac-12 is going to be full next year. So I love that. But now let's get to the games from this last weekend. We had Arkansas versus Texas. Texas took them behind the woodshed 52-37. Now, the question is, because Arkansas's offense is good, Bobby Petrino's doing a really good job with that offense. It's their defense that is ass. But you can't fix that overnight and that quickly. But Texas is the team that people are just vacillating over because of the name brand. And we have to get out of this name brand talk. Because what has Texas done outside of beating Vanderbilt that leads you to believe that this should be a college football playoff team? They got beat the hell up by Georgia. They couldn't score on Ohio State. They scored 7 freaking points. They lost to Florida. And we're looking at the wins over Oklahoma and Vanderbilt being like, oh, man, listen, this is a team that deserves to be in it. No, they don't. No, they don't. Even if they beat Texas A&M, especially if Georgia Tech beats Georgia, then what you going to say? Exactly. So this Texas team, Arch Manning is starting to play well, and I want people to know, and I want people to pay attention to, Arch Manning is clearly getting more confident. He's playing better football. Now, when they play against tougher opponents, some of that goes out the window a little bit, but he's not the bum everybody was trying to make him out to be. Quarterback, and I have 2 quarterback sons. Confidence issues are paramount. They are through the roof. You cannot discount how much confidence issues impact college football players and quarterbacks in general. So Arch's thing is going to be a big deal. So Texas has Texas A&M next week. Texas A&M played a layup of a game versus Texas, who played real competition. Now we're going to see. Because we saw how bad Texas A&M can be against South Carolina. And if they get down 31-3, 30-3 against Texas, they're not coming back. Just saying. All right. We had Oregon versus USC, 42-27. I believe that this game showcased how good and how dangerous that this Oregon team can be. This matters because they are without their number 1 wide receiver, who would have been Evan Stewart, who people think may be coming back at some point in time, particularly in the college football playoff. DeCorian Moore is out. You have Gary Bryant Jr. is out, who's really like their fourth best wide receiver, because Malik Benson would probably slide in there at number 3. Oregon was out. Their top 2 tackles, their backup tackle, Janoris Wilson, was out, and then they lost their center Poncho as well during the game. This Oregon team is a mass unit, and USC could not stop them. The only time that they got stopped was a pick on a ball that, hell of a play. And then you had I don't even know why Oregon on 4th down decided to do a tight end quarterback sneak instead of they were running for 5 yards to carry. Just line up and run them over. How does this make any sense? Oregon should have won this game by at least 24-28 points, because they were up 14 at that point in time. USC couldn't stop them. They go down and score, up 21. USC's broken at that point in time. But the takeaway from USC fans and Oregon fans is that the refs in the game were atrocious. We had like 23 penalties for 230 yards. What are we doing? It's incredible. So many defensive pass interferences that you can't even take it. But this USC football team, they are an improved football team. The physicality is a little bit better. And all I keep hearing about this USC team is wait till 2026. Wait till 2026. Number 1 recruiting class, everything else. What is the number 1 recruiting class going to do against their 2026 schedule that features at Penn State, at Wisconsin, whose defense will shut people down, and Camp Randall's one of the toughest places to play. So if they get some offense, it's going to be a problem. They play at Indiana as well, and they play Oregon, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Washington all at home. This is a murderer's row of a schedule in 2026, and that's just 7 of the games. So we're supposed to believe that 2026 is the year that you're going to have a better record than this year when you had 3 free wins to start the season? No. Lincoln Riley is an offensive wizard. The issue is the way he plays football does not lead to physical play. You can't even practice physical because everything is smoke and mirrors. Tricks everywhere. They can't just line up and just run you over. And this is the problem. Whenever they meet a physical football team, they run into issues. Lincoln Riley, yes, he's bought more into defense, but they have to. And yes, USC was injured. Bishop Fitzgerald was out. Kamari Ramsey, their left tackle, Elijah Page. Both of the teams were hurt. But where USC, it doesn't matter how many recruiting classes that they get. It doesn't matter any of that. The only thing that matters is, can they up their physicality? That is it. And their quarterback, Jaden Maiava, was under the most pressure that he's had, 2.42 seconds per opportunity to throw the football. That's faster than the over 3 that he's had all year. So you're having to move over a half second faster. And he's throwing up chuck and duck balls. Balls that Jacoby Lane did a phenomenal job catching jump balls between ones that should have been OPI and everything else. But I have a full breakdown on this game on the channel. So you guys make sure you guys go check that out. Now we got to go to this game. Utah and Kansas State. My God. I was watching this game and I could not understand what even happened in this game. Because, so I was at work at the CW, so I'm only getting a chance to watch part of that game until I rewatched it. I was like, what the hell is going on? What is going on? Yes, Devin Dampier, Utah's quarterback, threw for 259, ran for 94, 4 total touchdowns, all of that. But the issue was this. Kansas State, for the love of Utah, how did you allow Kansas State, who was 5-6 who was 5-5 coming in the game, to rush for 472 yards on you? 472 yards. And yes, Utah rushed for 292 on 50 carries. Kansas State rushed for 11.2 yards per carry. That is a first down every single time that you run the football, on average. Kansas State threw the ball 23 times. The only reason why they got up to that is because at the end of the game, they were down, but they would have been at about 15 carries. At about 15 passes. This is craziness. And Utah is ranked number 12 in the country. I don't know how. This performance is going to be the type of performance that moves them down in the college football playoff rankings. 100%. It is going to hamper and hinder Utah's future. So when you look at the CFP, when you look at the CFP here, I'm going to put it over my face for a second. Utah is the first one out. How can you in good conscience, and look at the polls, how can you in good conscience keep them in front of Miami? How can you keep them in front of even Vanderbilt after that? Because now you're questioning, like, what the hell are we looking at? It's fair. It is 100% fair. And Utah, you did it to yourself. You did it to yourself. Now, let's talk about this Oklahoma-Missouri game. This game went exactly like I thought it was going to go. Was it 17-6? Missouri can't score. Missouri's offense, like, this game played exactly into, this was like the Alabama game last week. Missouri really good offense, right? Missouri, really good running game with Ahmad Hardy, all of that. Alabama, terrible running game, but they can pass the football. If you get one-dimensional against Brent Venables calling this defense for the Oklahoma Sooners, you are going to be screwed. That's it. And Bo Prabula threw him 2 picks. They were one-dimensional because Missouri ran the ball for 2 yards a carry, 35 times for 70 yards. Ahmad Hardy, 17 for 57 for 3.4 yards a carry, long of 20. That's it. That means that he has 16 carries for 37 yards. Outside of that 1 carry. That's it. And once you get one-dimensional against Oklahoma, they can beat you. But this Oklahoma team, as good as this defense is, they are going to be in trouble potentially this weekend when they play against LSU, because LSU is another rock fight team, but they are talented. They are talented, but obviously their quarterback situation with Michael Van Buren, Garrett Nussmeier. I mean, I'm assuming Van Buren is going to start again, but this is swimming with jaws for both teams this upcoming week. This is not pretty for Oklahoma because Oklahoma has trouble running the football. Even against Missouri, whose defense is pretty good, but they haven't beaten anybody. 32 for 103 for 3.2 yards a carry, and pretty much all of them, John Mateer led the way with 18 carries. That means everybody else only had 14 carries. 18 carries for 60 yards. This team is not what we think it is. I'm just telling you. Oklahoma's good. But this is like a lot of the SEC teams. I feel like Georgia is head and shoulders above the rest of the SEC. Even Texas A&M. Then you got Texas A&M, and then all of them teams, Texas A&M, Alabama, they can beat each other on day in and day out basis. None of them are elite. None of them, including Texas A&M. Yes, I said it. The undefeated Texas A&M. Look at their schedule. Look at their schedule. Actually, I want people to understand this. So people do not believe that I'm like, oh, George, you hate the SEC. You're a Big Ten helmet. No, I'm college football's truth teller. And a lot of people just don't want to hear the truth. So check this out. Let me zoom it in. Texas A&M schedule. UTSA. Utah State. Play a good Notre Dame team early. You beat them by a point. Good win. Auburn is bad. Bottom of the SEC. Mississippi State, bottom of the SEC. Florida, bottom of the SEC. Arkansas, bottom of the SEC. LSU, bottom of the SEC. Missouri, middle of the road, won't be ranked this week. And then they beat South Carolina and Stanford. Where outside of Notre Dame, what you haven't played Bama, you haven't played Georgia, you haven't played Vanderbilt, you haven't played, hell, you ain't even played Tennessee. But we're supposed to believe that this Texas A&M team is the team that we're supposed to be looking at can win a national championship. How about now? All right, on to the Miami game. So Miami played Virginia Tech. They won 34-17. Everything about this Miami team has to do with Carson Beck. Can Carson Beck play turnover-free football? Because Mario Cristobal, he wants to dominate you physically. And Beck in this game went 27 for 32 for 320 and 4 touchdowns. But Virginia Tech's defense doesn't get a whole lot of pressure. And this defense is not elite in any way, shape, form, or fashion. The issue is, but Virginia Tech did do a great job of stopping the run. 30 carries for 83 yards, 2.8 yards a carry. So that's phenomenal run stopping. And Mario Cristobal can't like that. But the issue with this Miami team is, yes, they are talented in spots, especially Malachi Tony, bro. That kid is he is special. They're only good if they can get into the ACC championship, because I don't believe that they're going to get an at-large berth to the college football playoff without massive chaos. Massive chaos. If Alabama loses again, they might stay in front. It's going to get real tricky. And people have wondered, why is Miami in front of Notre Dame? Let's explain it to you. I'm sorry, why is Notre Dame in front of Miami right now, which a lot of people have asked? Because they beat them head to head. Miami has not beaten or played a team that is currently ranked since the Notre Dame game. And then also they lost to Louisville and they lost to SMU, both of which are unranked right now. So their losses look like that. It's not as bad as the Florida State loss because Louisville and Louisville in particular was ranked after they beat them. And then for a couple weeks after that, then they started having some injuries with the running back and all that stuff. And so they ran into some trouble. But the issue is this. And then when you look at Notre Dame's schedule, Notre Dame has been on the ascension after starting out the season 1-2. They have been, 0-2. They have been on the ascension. They are moving in the right direction. So you can't look at this Notre Dame team and compare them exactly to Miami because Notre Dame has been going like this all season. And Miami was looking great, and then the poof. And then, okay, they win again, and poof. And now you're like, who are they really? Because you feel like, because the teams have the biggest level of growth between week 1 and week 2. And Notre Dame grew, they lost, and then they have been knocking people's teeth out ever since then. Knocking people's teeth out. And that's what you get. This is the reason why they are respected the way that they are by the College Football Playoff Committee. And I'm sorry. But Miami, all the Miami fans that are upset, beat Pitt and then come talk to me. Because if you lose to Pitt, we got nothing to talk about. We got nothing to talk about if you lose to Pitt. So, yeah. Yeah. No, okay. I'm looking in the chat right now. So somebody is trying to disparage the Notre Dame schedule. Okay. Notre Dame has played Miami and Texas A&M. Texas A&M is number 3 in the country. Miami's number 13 in the country currently. Oh, they played USC too. Oh, so damn. And they just beat up Pitt, who was ranked 2. Damn, so they have played 4 currently ranked teams, including number 3 and number 13. You know how many FCS teams they played? 0. You know what else they played? Oh, the same team Texas played this weekend, Arkansas. They beat them 56-13. Oh, they beat a Big Ten team in Purdue. They beat a team that was in the college football playoff last year, Boise State. They beat up NC State, Boston College, Navy. Syracuse is terrible. But this is no different than an SEC schedule. So everybody screaming, oh, they would have won 7. No, they wouldn't win 7 games in the SEC. Look who they're playing. They're playing ranked teams. They're playing good teams. Like, everybody wants to bang on Notre Dame's schedule. They're one of the only teams that doesn't play FCS teams. They line it up 12 times a season. Come on, man. They will earn my respect when they join the conference. Hey, man, it's actually, honestly, there are times where their schedule does end up a little bit easier because you don't know that Stanford's going to be terrible or whatever. But sometimes their schedule is increasingly difficult, way more difficult than playing an 8-game conference schedule like the SEC have been playing, or some of the ACC schools as well. I believe that you got to play 9 conference games if you want that level of respect. All right, so before we get out of here, and you guys make sure that you guys like, subscribe, tell a friend about the show. Make sure that you share, because we are continuing to grow, and I thank you guys for everything that you guys are doing to help this channel grow. So here is what I believe is going to happen, because we'll be back on Tuesday for the live with the college football playoff rankings, but I wanted to go over them with you guys for just a second. Because if the rankings stay how they are, right? even though I believe that chaos is about to ensue, because we have not had a chaotic week yet. So chaos is coming this weekend. You can book it. Let's say that chalk holds, right? That chalk holds, and it's just like it is now, right? It's just like it is now. Having Alabama have to go to Eugene, Oregon, Lord have mercy. That is honestly the best thing that the college football playoff and these home games that it is going to give us. Imagine Oklahoma having to go to Notre Dame having to go to Oklahoma. Imagine Miami having to go to Ole Miss, or in reverse, or Ole Miss having to go to Virginia, or Indiana hosting the game and Ole Miss has got to go up there, or Alabama's got to go up there, or Vanderbilt, or anything like that. This is why I believe that the second round of the college football playoff games, they need to be in their home stadiums. I know I love the Rose Bowl as much as anybody else. Love the Fiesta Bowl, Cotton Bowl, Sugar Bowl, and Orange Bowl, and all of the other bowls. But this is what the people need. This is what the people want. Home playoff games. Fans deserve that. We give you our time. We give you our effort. You give us some damn home games. And you guys, we will be back live on Tuesday. The previews for the games will be out this week. We're previewing the Iron Bowl, Oregon, Washington, and two others, bro. We are going to slam this thing. We're going to slam the season doors shut. So, anyways, you guys, thank you guys. Peace out. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and thank you for being one of us. So when I use the hashtag one of us, you know what I'm talking about, because this is Unafraid Show. Be one of us. So you guys are one of us. Appreciate it. Peace out.